Arabic was once widely spoken by the Muslims of Sri Lanka. This is proven by a number of epigraphs or inscriptions excavated from all over the island. The following Arabic inscriptions are some of the discovered stones displayed in chronological order. 3 gravestones were discovered in 1976 in the old burial grounds attached to the Jamiul Hasanat Mosque in the Kegol district. One of these tombstones is the earliest dating Arabic inscribed tombstone discovered in this island, bearing the Hijri date 133 AH, which corresponds to 750 AD. Another tombstone found in the same place was inscribed with the Arabic word Hijri 135. The fact that this tombstone was marked in the Hijri or Islamic calendar points to the fact that just 100 years after Islam began spreading in Arabia, Muslims in this country were using the Arabic language and numericals and were following the Hijri calendar so much so that they marked their graves with it. These stones suggest a considerable settlement in Hemmatagama, Kegol, where they were excavated from. Several other ancient Sri Lankan Muslim inscriptions like this have been found in Colombo, Trincomalee, Galle, Putlam, Mannar, Adams Peak, etc. They offer valuable glimpses into the life and times of ancient Muslims in this country. An assortment of Persians, Arabs, Abyssinians, and all Muslims speaking Arabic were conveniently called Arabs. By about the 9th century, these Arabic-speaking Muslim trading communities were well established in Sri Lanka, enjoying the favor of the rulers and maintaining cordial relations with the local inhabitants. It is probably from these settlements that 3 more Arabic inscriptions have been unearthed. The first was found in the island of Puliyantivu in the Mannar district, the second off the Putlam-Kurunegala road, and the third off the Putlam-Anuradhapura road. The gravestone in Puliyantivu Island was discovered in 1920 and is beautifully inscribed in Arabic. Then British government officials of the area sent it to the Stone Gallery of the Ceylon National Museum in Colombo, where it is still on display. The text in this tombstone is written in the beautiful Kufic script developed in Kufa, Iraq, which was popular during the medieval era. In addition to this ancient tombstone, numerous fragments of ancient bricks and pottery have been found in Puliyantivu. This suggests there could be more undiscovered ancient history lying hidden in the island. Another Arabic inscription in Kufic script dated 948 AD was discovered by Sir Alexander Johnston, who was Chief Justice of Sri Lanka and who had a keen interest in its people. A letter by him to the Royal Asiatic Society reveals the interesting origins of this stone. This 10th century Arabic inscription, now displayed in the Colombo Museum, proves the contact with the Arab world was not merely commercial but religious and cultural as well. The Muslim community in Colombo requested the Caliph of Baghdad to send a religious teacher who would instruct them in the tenets and practices of Islam. According to local tradition, this cleric was sent by the Caliph of Baghdad to reform the Muslims of Colombo after learning that these Muslims, who were then established as traders, were ignorant of and inattentive to the real tenets of their religion. In response to this request, Khalid ibn Abu Bakr, a learned and pious Muslim priest, was sent to teach the Muslims of Colombo, organize them into an Islamic community, and erect a mosque so as to ensure the continuing observance of Muslim worship. In 1859, Sir James Emerson Tennant wrote about this stone. There formerly stood there in Colombo, in the Mohammedan cemetery, a stone with an ancient inscription in Kufic characters, which no one could decipher, but which was said to record the virtues of a man of singular virtue who had arrived in the island in the 10th century. Abu Bakr died in Colombo in 948 AD and was buried near the mosque he had erected. After his death, the Caliph of Baghdad sent some learned persons to Colombo for the express purpose of engraving this inscription on his tombstone. It remained on his grave undisturbed for nearly 800 years till the Dutch Dissauer, or collector of Colombo, removed it along with other tombstones from the Muslim burial grounds near Colombo to the spot where he was building a house and placed it as one of the steps to his house. This was subsequently removed to the National Museum in Colombo, where it still stands. The Arabic inscription records a prayer to God for repose of the soul of Abu Bakr. Many salient facts relating to the Arab settlements in the 10th century Sri Lanka emerge from a study of the background of this tombstone. Firstly, the Muslims of Colombo were sufficiently numerous and influential as to persuade the Caliph to send such a respected teacher to their midst. Secondly, it shows that they had intimate and constant communication with the Caliphs of Baghdad. By maintaining links with the main body of Islam, as is clear from this incident, this contact had provided the Muslims spiritual nourishment, strengthened their sense of identity in Sri Lanka, and heightened their awareness of belonging to the Islamic Brotherhood. Even at this time, the organization of the community, religious education, and the continuance of the prescribed form of prayer had received priority consideration. Frequent communication with the centers of Islamic power was possible because of the cooperation of the local rulers and also because the rulers maintained good relations with the caliphs of Baghdad. This incident also shows that the kings of Sri Lanka were magnanimous in their attitude to people of other faiths. Even today, religious minorities all over the world make three claims: freedom of conscience, freedom of worship, and the absence of religious discrimination. Freedom of conscience amounts to protection against forcible conversion. Obviously, the Arabs enjoyed this freedom, or else no Muslim would have remained on the island. Very few religions are satisfied with only a private recognition of their faith. They usually want a public display by building religious edifices and performing their ceremonies. The fact that Abu Bakr's mission was a success proves that freedom of worship too had been allowed to Arabs in common with people of all other faiths. Thirdly, it will be seen that there was complete absence of religious discrimination. An Arabic inscription ascribed to the 13th century found in Bagavalena, a cave about 100 feet below the summit of Adam's Peak, is interesting. It has attracted further notice since it is written by the side of a Sinhala inscription of King Nesanka Malla, recording his visit and also granting several villagers for the maintenance of the shrine. The Arabic inscription, which is fragmentary, states, "Muhammad, may God bless him," and elsewhere it states, "the father of mankind," perhaps regarding Adam, since this inscription was installed just below Adam's Peak. The existence side by side on the sacred peak of a Sinhala Buddhist inscription and an Arabic Islamic one is symbolic of the spirit of religious harmony that prevailed and still continues to pervade the pilgrims of various races and religions while ascending the holy mountain. Two tombstones unearthed in Nicholson's Cove overlooking the Trincomalee harbour show that there was a Muslim settlement there as far back as the 12th century. One tomb was that of a respected Qazi Alif Abdullah ibn Abdurrahman ibn Muhammad ibn Yusuf Alavi, who passed away in approximately 1200 AD. This gravestone is also displayed at the National Museum, and the epigraph is inscribed on a limestone slab exquisitely carved with arabesque borders and richly ornamental calligraphy, and contains several quotations from the Holy Quran. The other tombstone in Trincomalee refers to the deceased as the daughter of the chief Badruddin Hussein bin Ali al-Halabi, showing that her family hailed from Halab or Aleppo in Syria. These inscriptions of respected Muslims indicates a considerable settlement at Trincomalee from a very early period. The Gaul trilingual inscription was set up by the Chinese captain Cheng Ho in 1410 AD during one of his voyages. The text concerns offerings made by him and others to the mountain of Adam's Peak in Sri Lanka. The Chinese inscription mentions offerings to Lord Buddha, the Persian in Arabic script to Allah, and the Tamil inscription mentions offerings to Hindu god Vishnu. The inscription was discovered in Gaul in 1911 and is now preserved in the Colombo National Museum. The fact that the Arabic language had been employed in inscriptions suggests that the country's Muslims, or at least a significant proportion of them, were literate and conversant in Arabic. How and why did Arabic slowly leave the tongues of the Muslims in this country? Find out in future episodes.